Welcome to Behind the Tools. Here's Tradify CEO and your host, Michael Steckler.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Behind the Tools. Now, despite their talent for the trades, tradeswomen make up just under 5% of the global industry. Now, that's a figure that's barely changed over the last decade, and so there's still huge room for improvement when it comes to diversity and inclusion within the trades industry. And we want to be part of driving this change. So for this month, we'll be talking to a number of hardworking women from all over the world to find out the great work they're doing, but also to get more insight into their journey and ways they're working to push for a more inclusive industry. Enjoy the episode and happy Women in Trades Month. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Behind the Tools. Very excited today that we have another guest in New Zealand, in Canterbury, which is on the South Island. So the biggest city down there people would be familiar with is Christchurch. And we have Pauline Varlet. Pauline, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you. And Pauline, do you want to maybe just give us an overview of kind of what you're doing? You're an electrician, but who you work for and where you work?
So I've been a Sparky for the past 5 years in Christchurch. I work for Arnold Jensen Electrical. And yeah, we just do like a big, wide variety of work, which is really cool. So servicing, we've got a team of boys out at the airport. So we do all the Air New Zealand stuff. And then contracting, and then we've got some people as well who travel around New Zealand to do like field lighting and that. So yeah.
So it's quite a big company.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Got a few boys.
Yeah, cool. And you, I'm fascinated by how you got into the trade. Do you want to walk us through, how you became an electrician, what sparked that to happen?
So I originally wanted to go to uni, like all throughout school. I really wanted to be a pediatrician. Work with kids. So yeah, I went to uni for 1 year in Otago down in Dunedin. Got like a $10,000 scholarship to go there. And then I pretty much realized within the first, 3 months that I like really didn't like it there and I wasn't where I was supposed to be. So kind of had like a early midlife crisis, and I called my mum and I was like, Mum, what do I do? I don't like it here and I know that I'm not meant to be at uni. And she was like, have you ever thought about doing a trade? So I called up the trade training campus in Christchurch and they sent me the course book of all the trades that they have, and I was just like flicking through them and electrical stood out for me. So I just signed up for a pre-trade course, finished my year in Otago, and then moved back home to Christchurch and started my pre-trade.
Wow, yeah. So it's a really amazing story. It was. I didn't expect you to say that your mum came up with the idea. Often what we hear from people is that it's quite the opposite. Often the parents are a block on these things in terms of encouraging people to get into a trade. And I think I say parents, I also probably would include schools in that to some degree, especially if you're academic, which you clearly were, the fact that you went to university. So that's incredible. And why did you pick, what was it about being an electrician that appealed to you?
I always get asked this and I don't know if I'll ever have, the right answer, but I probably just thought about it and keep in mind, I didn't actually know too much about many of the trades, but I knew painting was painting and building was building and plumbing was plumbing. But I was like, don't really want to be like outside too much building and that kind of thing. And I kind of liked the technical side behind electricity and that. So I stuck to that and I'm really, really glad that I did. So
yeah, so it's a really cool story. And then you sort of did the apprenticeship and joined. This is your first firm that you joined as apprentice that you've come through, or did you join someone else?
No, I've been with the same company throughout my whole apprenticeship, and then I got registered and I stayed with them. So
cool. And how did you find the apprenticeship? So what was the difference? I'm quite interested in the differences to sort of being in a university and educational institution and learning a trade. Did it do everything that you thought it would do in terms of, I guess, filling a gap that you didn't have when you were at college?
Well, the main difference was that I actually had money. I'm so poor at uni. I really didn't like that. And even though it wasn't much money, it was like more than being a student. And the way that I looked at it was that if I decided that trades wasn't for me after, I don't know, a year or two, then I could actually still change and I wouldn't have added anything to my student loan. So I don't know, there was the difference. And also it was a lot more physical, and I was active, and I was up early in the morning, and you know, like I had my evenings free and my weekends free, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, cool. And then, you know, now you've qualified, you're doing, you know, you're doing more work. Do you have a sort of vision about where you want to be? I mean, it's early still in your career, but do you ever thought about doing your own thing? Has that ever been part of the plan in the future?
I definitely always come up with lots of, I don't know, ideas and things that I want to do, but I know potentially running a business or some sort of something trade related. I don't know if it would be like an electrical company doing electrical work, but it could be, I don't know, trade related. But yeah, it's still like early days. I've only just been registered for not even a year yet. So
yeah, of course. Yeah. And then when you did the apprenticeship, were there many other women? And one of the things we're covering is, you know, the stat that we see and share regularly is that less than 5% of sort of tradespeople globally are female. Is that a thing you've seen changing when you did your apprenticeship? Did you see more of that than you might? I mean, obviously you wouldn't have seen it before, it's your first experience of it, but do you feel that's changing in terms of the number?
It definitely is changing, like, because I started 5 years ago. I did my pre-trade when I was 19. And there were 4 girls in the whole of the pre-trade class, 1 girl in high voltage, and then 3 girls, including myself in regular in the regular course. So but now I just think there's way more apprentices. Like, even walking around site, there's way more girls coming in, not just doing electrical, like a variety of trades and landscapers and stuff, and it's really great to see.
What do you think is driving that?
I think slowly it's being normalized. Because I think definitely 5 years ago, I'd never even considered being a tradie. Like, when I was like searching on what I want to do when I was at uni, I was like, it didn't even cross my mind like once, until my mum said, and I was like, okay, that's something, you know, that I could do, and I would be, you know, it's very different. But yeah, I think because there's more and more girls.
Definitely different to a pediatrician.
Yeah, so different.
And why did your mum, just out of interest, what was your mum's, why did she come up with trades?
Wow, my mum, she is like a super independent single mum who's had rental properties and stuff. So she always did everything by herself, painting and like odd jobs around the houses and stuff, and we would always help her as kids. And so like she would always look into trying to do something herself and then, you know, get tradies in. But she was like, it's an honourable job, and you get, you know, you upskill yourself, and get to know lots of other good tradies and stuff. And so she was just like, oh, why don't you look into that? She didn't like force me or anything, but
it's great. It's really great to hear that. And then, you know, one of the things you sort of referenced in terms of inspiring future generations to get into this, one of the things I think has changed over the last few years is sort of the growth in social media for trades specifically. And I think it has generally often been, not always actually younger tradespeople, but people who have grown up on social media, right? So it's second nature to think about telling your stories across that. I think that seems to be sort of creating this version and scene of people that see it as aspirational as a career, because you can share the work you do, but also the benefits of doing that work you reference, you know, having the weekend and all the things that go with that. You've built up quite a following doing that. Was that intentional or something that just sort of came about from you just generally posting about your work?
I didn't think that any of this would come from my Instagram account. I started it because I like taking time lapses and stuff of the work I'm doing, and like before and afters and stuff. I think it's quite satisfying to watch, and I think a lot of other people as well like watching something get completed. So I just made an account, and it was like really small, and then I don't know, I haven't even had it a year, and I've like almost got 4,000. And it's like good because I get messages from other girls who wanting to get into the trade,
Right.
or you know, and it's good to know that I can talk to them and be somewhat, I don't know, of a help to them, you know.
And are they just discovering you because they're looking into a job in the trades?
Like
Or
other females?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've had a mixture, people who are wanting to get into it and they're like, I don't know, worried, or people who have just got into it and they're unsure if they should stay.
Right.
And yeah, I think because the thought of a 4-year apprenticeship sometimes can be quite daunting, and there are a few hurdles that you have to overcome, like the exams and stuff, and it can get quite hard. I know that I felt that when I had my exams, and sometimes you just need a little bit of a nudge just to get you over the line, and you know,
So it's really great that people are actually reaching out to you, though. I mean, that's the thing I've heard from everyone I've spoken to that has some form of kind of social media presence. There is a really good, actually quite a global community to some degree, but even certainly at a local level is still pretty powerful. And you've sort of got sponsorship. I noticed you have the Makita branding on now, but I think they're one of your sponsors, I believe, from my notes. How did that come about? And was that, you know, how did you get into that?
Pretty much at the start of my Instagram account, over a long weekend, I left my tools in the site container at work and they got stolen. So then I like posted about it, being like, oh, you know, if you've seen my tools on Facebook Marketplace or something, like let me know. And then Makita just like contacted me and they were like, oh, do you like to work together? And I was like, yes, I love your tools.
So you did use, and is that because you mentioned Makita, or they just
I mentioned them.
You did
right,
okay, good.
But I didn't like expect them to ever, I don't know, come back to me with anything. But yes, that was quite early days.
It's a powerful tool. Yeah, that's great. Were you insured?
I personally wasn't, but my company was.
Okay, good.
So it was good. Otherwise, it was just a nightmare getting all your stuff stolen, eh?
Yeah, well, it's actually it's anywhere from sort of 15 to 20% of tradespeople globally, depending on the country, suffer from tool theft, and it's amazing how many. I mean, one of the things we always recommend is, you know, get insurance. It's not always great, but it's better than nothing, and it is an unfortunately common thing that happens. And there's, you know, I think no matter what locks you put on and everything else, you know, people that steal tools,
they'll find a way.
Yeah, they find a way. And if someone wants to get in a van, they'll get in a van. So insurance is important. And your intention is to just keep building that social media presence. Does it help with? I suppose you're working for a company now, but in the future it helps obviously with work generation and stuff. But it sounds like it's just a really powerful tool to inspire other young people that are thinking about starting a trade.
Yeah, I want to grow that, and I think if I had, I don't know, someone to look to when I was starting out, it probably would have been a bit easier because I was quite embarrassed to be leaving uni to become a tradie. So I don't know, it was a little bit rough for me at the start, but now I'm so proud of it. But I just think, it would have been helpful to have that sort of support or like role models and that out there back when I started. So
yeah, it didn't really exist before, so I think it's a good tool for that. And I'd imagine, I don't know if you've come across people yet, but I imagine there are quite a few people that have forced themselves or been forced, and I say forced as in, you know, family pressure, all those sorts of things, expectation to go to university, go to college and do that. And actually for many people, it's like, actually, this is not what I want to be doing. And so it's often been a fallback. And that's, I think to your point, that is quite a hard thing. Like if you decided you want to go and be a doctor and 4 years through medical school, you decide, actually, no, I don't want to be a doctor. Which is not uncommon.
It's a really expensive mistake.
Well, it's expensive, and it's like you say, there's this sort of probably unnecessary embarrassment that comes with it, which says, I don't want to do that. And so, I think the ability to be able to step out and actually tell other people that, hey, I stepped out and I'm better for it is probably a really good thing. And also to make people think twice about, actually, should I just go through with this or not, if it's not what I want to be doing. And do you think that's changing sort of education? I mean, I was going to leads into the sort of next conversation around Trade Up Co. So those that are listening, we did a podcast probably, I want to say a couple of weeks ago, with the Trade Up Co guys who are touring New Zealand schools and they're about to go to Australia. trying to encourage more kids or tell more kids and inspire them into trades, or at least let them understand what's involved. And I think it's a really, really great initiative that we support for that reason. And one of the interesting things is there is, they talk about the sort of stigma that was previously there about, trades was something you did if you weren't academic. It was a thing you did if you had to fall back on something. And it
School
feels like
dropouts.
And it kind of is. There is that, and it feels like it's changing, but it doesn't maybe feel it's changing as quickly as it could. Talk me through. Do you think it's changing? You've been part of that. You've toured some of the schools with them. Can you talk me through kind of your experience of that and what your perspective is?
So I think, back when I was at school, going to the careers advice office, never got advised to do any sort of trade, only uni or early childhood, things like that. And it's just really great to see that, Jesse and Logan are going to schools and schools are actually accepting them to talk to all the kids and like sharing their story and saying, hey, like it's actually cool to be a tradie, like you can be successful. So no, it's good. And I went up with them to Auckland to speak at St Cuthbert's, which is an all-girls school. And that was a pretty cool experience because that was their first all-girls school that they've been to. I think they've been touring for like 4 years or something, and they've never had an all-girls school. So they called me up last night and they were like, oh, do you want to come to Auckland and speak at the school? Because I guess it's kind of different for a girl to go and speak to girls. It's more relatable, especially because I went to uni and I did health science, which a lot of those girls would have been, I don't know, forced to do from their parents or
But
it was good.
Yeah, so that did a lot of the kids, did you speak to any? Did they relate to that story that you'd sort of chosen a different path even though you'd embarked on the path that many of them were being probably pushed towards?
Yeah, there was one girl who came up to me at the end and she had like pretty much the exact same story, although she hadn't gone to uni yet, but she was like, I'm going to Otago to do health science, but she wasn't sure if she actually wants to, and she said she feels like she has to because her parents have sent her to a really expensive school. So I don't know, like, if my message got through to her, and not that she might not become a tradie, but she might seriously consider what she actually wants to do based on what she wants to do, not what her parents want to do. Yeah.
Which is, it's very difficult. I do. It's a very difficult position to be put in. Which is why your story's so great that you had the opposite, which was parental encouragement when it was obvious that you weren't happy doing something like that. So I think these stories will help people. Those tours, and Jesse and Logan talked about that a bit, will help some of those kids who are in that sort of conundrum, who think actually, I think I'd rather be doing this other thing, and I feel like I need to go and pursue this academic career, which at the end of it, they may end up just, saddled with a load of debt and not actually use it for anything because they don't want to use it for anything. And so I think that's I think it's a really good thing to do, and to get people more, inspired by people that have done it, are happy to have done it and then built great careers off the back of it. So it's a really powerful story. And are you still touring more of the schools? Is that still ongoing or?
Yes, that is this year. We haven't got anything planned yet. I've got going to the West Coast next month for 3 days, and we'll be doing a bunch of schools over there, which will be awesome. And then I think Jesse, Logan and I have plans to go to other schools later in the year.
Yeah, cool, great. And is it mainly sort of New Zealand kids that are reaching out to you on Instagram, across social?
I don't really know exactly where everyone's from based from their accounts, but I would say so majority of my followers are from New Zealand.
Cool. And do you interact with other sort of influencers? I use that phrase. Sorry, some people don't like the phrase, but it's an easy catch-all. But do you sort of connect with other people that are sort of doing similar things?
Yeah, I do, and I've met quite a few of them in person.
Cool,
which is
great.
Good. Yeah, so when I go around, I'm like, oh, I'm in Queenstown, or oh, I'm in Auckland, and I've made some like online friends and then a couple of real life friends. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it feels like a really
community.
Yeah, that is exactly the word I was going to use. It feels like there's a really good, and it's almost becoming like a global community of people that I think it helps move this stuff forward. And you sort of speaking of moving this stuff forward, obviously you've got a high profile account. You're a woman in trades. I talked about the numbers. It seems like it's moving in the direction. It sounds like your experience is a great experience. Could you maybe, if there's listeners, we may hopefully have some women that listen to this that are thinking about getting into trades or maybe just started their journey in the trades. Any advice you'd give from your experience?
I would probably say, don't be afraid. If you're unsure, just go find some work experience.
Right.
And then you can kind of see if you like it or not. And yeah, probably reach out to some other people who are tradies, who are females, and yeah, get some support that way if you're worried about it.
Yeah. Great. And any advice once you started doing the work? Any things that you particularly enjoyed or you think helped you sort of get to where you've got to? You talked about the exams, but are there areas, other things they should be prepared for or think about?
Yeah, definitely prepare. Oh, for electrical, prepare for the exams. They're pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just absorb as much as you can from your fellow tradies, because there's lots of different ways to do the same thing, and yeah, find your own style and how you like to work in that.
Did you know any tradies before you? I mean, I'm sure you did, but did you speak to any tradies that you knew before you sort of decided to go into the apprenticeship?
No, I didn't. Well, I knew tradies like from school. Some of the boys that left school early to do building and that. Didn't really talk to them about it until a couple of years into my apprenticeship. But yeah, I didn't really talk to anyone. I just kind of signed up and did it.
Did it?
On
Yeah.
the down low.
Yeah, great. Well, fantastic. No, it's great that you did that. And then, is there anything else you think we should be doing in the industry? It seems like I think there's the school tours. I think there is some, apprenticeship schemes that definitely help get more young people into trades. And I feel like the social media really seems to talk the right language to a younger group of people about, telling those inspirational stories. Is there anything else you think we should be doing as a kind of industry to encourage more women into the trades?
I don't know. I think that's a hard question, because from the past 5 years, I see the progress we have made has been really great. Like, we've even got heaps more female clothing, which when I first started, there was like no female clothing. So I think a lot of businesses and companies and that are supportive of getting more girls in the trade, and they're showing that by creating products and stuff for them, which is good.
This is great, by the way. I mean, it's a really inspirational story that you and very brave. It's unusual to meet people that I think embark on that journey in college and university and then decide, actually, this is not for me. And I'm sure you could have kept going and become a pediatrician, but you decided to step out. So I think it's fantastic. Your mum sounds great. It's amazing that she encouraged you into that. It's really cool. So if you weren't an electrician, what would be the trade that you would pick?
Probably be a plumber.
Plumber? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. And why? Just out of interest?
I think it's the next best trade after being a sparky.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate about it. Yeah, whenever I speak to plumbers, they do struggle for a very, very long time to think of another trade they would be in. But then I would say the same thing about electricians, to be fair. Carpentry always seems to be a very popular second choice. I think a lot of people like.
I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could do the outside foundations part of carpentry. It's hard.
Yeah,
in the cold.
Yeah, I had a tiler on in Australia. In fact, it's our latest podcast episode. And he talks about, I said, why did you pick tiling? And it was that exact reason. He said, I didn't want to be outside. So that was one of the main drivers. I get that.
Yeah.
If you won $1,000 on a scratch card, scratchy for this end of the world, what tool would you buy with that $1,000?
This isn't really a tool, but the Makita battery powered chili bin.
And do you have to say Makita, by the way? I know you've got.
I don't know if other companies do the battery powered chili bin.
That's actually a cool.
Yeah, so a chiller, it's like a cooler, and I think it can heat as well. So you put the batteries in, and it will keep your drinks or your icebox or whatever frozen. So you can just have it in the van and have like really cold drinks after work, or
for the entire day. Really cool. That is cool. Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic.
no
There
ice.
was what I spoke to, I can't remember who I spoke to, it was a while back, and he was talking about how they had they were cooking like brisket and all sorts of stuff on site at lunch. It was amazing. They had a little pork, whatever they're called, the little potbelly stove.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some people take it really seriously, so I was very impressed. I guess one of the other questions I've got is, choice of lunch when you're on site. I'm always intrigued by this one. We get very different answers. If you're going to treat yourself,
sushi.
Sushi, yeah,
Yeah, I like
comes up a lot.
sushi.
Yeah, good stuff. And then one of the other questions that I'd be really interested in your kind of answer is, when you're, particularly as you've got a presence, you talk to lots of other people. Any other tradespeople you think we should speak to that you come across that you think are really would be interesting guests?
Probably Build with Willow down in Queenstown.
Yep.
She's just started her building apprenticeship, but she used to be a crane operator, a dogman. So really interesting career just in general. And yeah, she's really, really cute.
Cool. Great. Fantastic. Well, look, I really, really appreciate this, Pauline. It's a really interesting conversation. It's great the stuff you're doing. Any parting words for anyone listening who's thinking about starting the trades?
Yeah, just get into it. Give it a go. You probably won't regret it.
Yeah. Cool. That's what everyone says. Fantastic. Well, look, no, this is a really, really great story. Appreciate you spending the time. I know you're busy, so I'll let you get back to it. And as always, to all of our listeners, if you've got any comments, questions, suggestions, or you want to appear on the show, hit us up. There's an email address in the link. Until next time, thanks a lot. And Pauline, thanks again, and speak to you soon. Cheers.
Well, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And that brings us to the end of this episode. Behind the Tools is brought to you by Tradify, job management software for your trade business. If you enjoyed the podcast, let us know by leaving a review, and be sure to tell your mates about it. Email behindthetools@tradifyhq.com if you or someone you know would be keen to join the show as a guest.